We continue to follow the aftermath of the building collapse in Davenport. The lawyer representing the resident of the collapsed building, who is now suing the building's current owner as well as the city of Davenport, says red flag after red flag that a collapse was imminent were ignored. News 8's Jenna Webster joins us live and explains why he says the residents were failed by multiple people on multiple different levels.
Yeah, John, so this lawyer he actually specializes in structural building collapses, such as the Surfside condo collapse in Florida 2 years ago. Now, he's noticed many similarities between this building and the handling of that building in Florida, and he hopes this lawsuit brings about the same accountability. More than a week after the Davenport apartment building collapsed, the crowds outside have dwindled, being replaced with memorials, but the lawsuits are just ramping up.
There was red flag after red flag.
Jeffrey Goodman, a lawyer based in Philadelphia, filing on behalf of a resident the multi-count complaint against building owner Andrew Wold, his companies, the City of Davenport, engineers, and contractors.
All had opportunity after opportunity to either help make the building safe or, at a minimum, demand that the residents evacuate the building.
Goodman represented victims in the 2021 Surfside condo collapse in Florida, litigation that ultimately settled for $1.2 billion. Now,
there were complaints that were ignored.
The only difference is the 1,500 miles that separate Miami and Davenport.
But also to take seriously their responsibility to the people in the buildings. To say, you've got to get out because there's a danger. Let it be an issue of property damage because a building falls and not an issue of loss of life.
In the lawsuit, a memo from Select Structural dated May 24th stating that large patches of clay brick facade appear ready to fall imminently.
When an engineer sees that a building is in an imminent state of collapse, the engineer can't just write a memo, tell the owner about it, and then bury their head in the sand. They have an obligation to make sure that all steps are taken to ensure that the public is safe.
But at the center of the lawsuit is Wold.
We will be able to put him under oath and ask him the hard questions about why, time and time again, he chose profits over safety.
Goodman hoping that reforms that came out of Surfside happen here in Davenport.
The need to properly plan work, have work properly stamped by engineers and licensed professionals, put the right things on file to make sure that it's happening.
The lawsuit alleging this outcome was preventable and holding those accountable to prevent more memorials in the future. Now, Goodman says their next steps will be subpoenaing documents such as internal communications between the companies and daily job reports from contractors. He also wants to bring out a structural engineer to do inspections on the building. John, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jenna. Now, Goodman couldn't provide details, but he says he's been in contact with multiple current and former residents of the building and expects more lawsuits to be filed.
The efforts to help those displaced by the Davenport building collapse are community-wide. One of the organizations going the extra mile is the Salvation Army. They are helping those displaced with everything they need to get them back on their feet. That ranges from basics such as food and hygiene products to helping people apply for legal documents they lost. They also served a total of 1,600 meals and snacks to first responders on the scene.
We're providing vouchers for anyone that needs like clothing and household items through our thrift stores so they can get that at no cost. And then longer term, we're working with families that have been displaced, trying to find a new place for them, working with landlords to connect them up for housing.
Every Wednesday morning, the Salvation Army has a food pantry open to anyone. In 2022, their Family Services Department helped 487 residents in our area with housing.